Welcome to Shallow. One podcast, two time zones, diving deep into a new topic every week. From pop culture to beauty and wellness trends, careers and ambitions, these conversations flood our WhatsApp inboxes and social media feeds. Dialing in from Sydney, Australia and London, UK, we're asking the same question. Is it really that deep?
In a world where impossible beauty standards shape nearly every aspect of a woman's life, do celebrities have a responsibility to be open about their cosmetic procedures? Living in the spotlight means constant scrutiny, but does that make their choices anyone else's business? Or does fame come with an obligation to be transparent so they don't contribute to the already unrealistic beauty standards? Let's dive in.
Good morning, England.
Good morning, Australia. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be back on mic with you. Obviously, we're international. It's UK to Australia. Lucy, how have you been?
It's season 3, baby. I mean, I'm back in England. The weather isn't as good as Australia, but we move. But yeah, I'm just excited to see how this dynamic works. I mean, I've got you on my laptop. I'm on your laptop. We're not facing each other in real life, but we're going to make it work. And yeah, I'm just excited to go kind of dive into what we've got for season 3.
The last time we actually recorded was in November because we back-to-backed season 1 and 2. So it's so exciting to just be able to touch base with you once a week and get into some really good topics. Personally, I think season 3 is all killer, no filler, and we've got some treats in store. So what's your highlights from season 1 and 2? Any things that stand out for you, Luce?
I mean, we went viral for the first time on TikTok. Talking about me hating on Americans. No, love Americans, but I just don't like them speaking loudly in public places. What can I say? But yeah, we got quite a lot of traction from that. It's really nice to see how the socials are growing. And yeah, we've got some regular listeners, feedback. We've got people engaging with the podcast, and it's just all really positive. And it's really helped myself and Phoebe kind of write these episodes and, think of things that we want to bring to the table for season 3 and what kind of did well and what kind of maybe hasn't as much. And that's just a really interesting way of kind of creating more content for you.
100%. It's been so fun seeing, what performed, maybe what didn't perform, and then rolling that into season 3. Lucy, do you want to tell the listeners about your alter ego that was developed throughout season 1 and 2?
I feel like you need to say this because this is your alter ego for me.
Yeah, so basically, Luce, if you follow us on socials, if you don't, at Shallow Pod, please get over there. Lucy often forgets to post the social media content, but it's not Lucy, it's Boosie. So Boosie Lel forgets to post. It's not Lucy's fault, it's Boosie's fault.
Yeah, Boosie gets told, before Phoebe goes to bed, just post this at 7 p.m, and Boosie forgets a lot. But I'm getting better, and it's not happening as much. I'm setting alarms. Better. You know what? I'll set an alarm. I will set a notification. I can't even tell you. I'll tell a dog to come and bark at me at the time that I should be posting, and I'll still forget. So, Boosie's there. Also, Boosie is the one that was ranting on TikTok. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, if you don't follow us on TikTok, please do. Anyway, anything else you want to add, or should we get into it?
No, I think that's all wrapped up. I mean, we could sit and talk about what we've been doing for the past so many months, but I think we should dive into this episode. It's a really good one today. So Phoebe, take the wheel.
So let's start with the pressure on celebrities, and honestly, just everyone to look a certain way. And if you're a public figure, of course, that pressure is amplified. You've got money, you've got access, and the entire world is watching, commenting, and scrutinising. And look, we're in the era of social media now, but this didn't start on Instagram. For years, tabloids, newspapers have been picking women's bodies apart like it's sport. So we did some research, and just a few headlines that were pulled out were skinny, bony, haggard. That was about Davina McCall. Claire's diet despair, step star gains 3 stone in 5 months. Model boss blasts Kendall Jenner too fat for runway, and 50 of the best and worst bikini bodies.
I mean, it's it's those tabloid headlines are just disgusting, aren't they? And we did bring this kind of topic up on the Skinny episode in season 2, if anybody's listened to that. And, you know, we were kind of saying that we used to walk into, you know, WH Smith or the local newsagents and look at these magazines as like 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds and see these disgusting headlines. And I wouldn't even blink. It wouldn't even cross my mind that this was unacceptable. And I think it's only in the past maybe 5 to 10 years that if you did see a tabloid, I mean, they're a little bit more sneaky now with how they do their tabloids. And it's more soap opera based and character based on those soap operas. And you don't see as much like body shaming. But it is still there, and it is still, you know, a lot of, with the rise of Ozempic and, you know, is this person on Ozempic, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of the newer trope. But this kind of like skinny, bony, haggard, you don't see that as much, and it's not as shocking. But yeah, it's always been there, and it's troubling.
Definitely. I mean, it's no wonder that celebrities feel like they have to alter themselves. You know, you go back to the 90s, the noughties, you can see that cover of the Daily Mail or like, what is it, like Look magazine or some crap, and you can see those headlines visually in your brain. And obviously now what we have to battle with is that pressure filtering down to young women via social media. So for me, that has almost become like the new tabloid fodder. And there was a really interesting article by Nylon titled "Do Celebrities Owe Us Plastic Surgery Transparency?" It's a few years old, but I feel like it's really, really relevant. The quote goes, "Factor in the gendered beauty standards that women are subject to, which forces women, famous or not, to carry the onus of speaking about procedures, and nothing seems fair about enforcing the emotional labour of disclosing plastic surgery. The flip side is that when celebrities do not disclose, they can play a crucial part in the vicious cycle of insecurities. Celebrities stay quiet about getting work done because they're insecure, but then their results further fuel young people's insecurities. This can have serious implications. The Wall Street Journal's explosive 2021 report on Facebook's internal research stated that bombarded by curated filters and enhanced bodies, 6% of teens with suicidal thoughts cited Instagram as a cause."
I mean, I'm not overly surprised. I think because we're talking about cosmetic procedures and we're talking about should celebrities be open and honest, I think it could be crucial to mention this whole trope of the Instagram face. You know, we're all kind of subject to this. We'll open our phones and we'll go, oh, she looks like she's got Instagram face. And I think Instagram face is that kind of, it's almost similar to pillow face in a way. I think it would be good to just add in a little definition of what Instagram face is. And on Dr. Sean's plastic surgery website, he says that it's an increasingly popular term that refers to a highly stylized, almost plastic-looking aesthetic and has become the new standard on social media platforms like Instagram. It's a face that's symmetrical, smooth, and often enhanced in ways that are hard to distinguish from reality, whether that's filter, whether that's worked on your face. You know, these are things that we expect, you know, public celebrities to kind of disclose. You know, if you're posting a photo and you're getting a lot of comments from teenagers or young women or just young people or adults or whatever, whoever you are, what age group you are, it's almost the, oh my God, how do you look this way? And if there's no response or little to no response, then those people are going to go away and think that's probably attainable to them.
Definitely, especially if, you know, obviously the crux of this whole episode is, do they owe us the truth about what work they have done? And especially if that work isn't being disclosed, you either start to feel bad about yourself because you're like, I don't look like that naturally, there's something wrong with me, and you start to kind of question that belief, or you start to seek out methods in which to make that happen. And I think with the Instagram face, as you say, really similar to pillow face, is my kind of definition of it, is that kind of like very homogenized look where people are kind of losing their unique features and all kind of starting to look the same and like a filter, basically.
Or like the Kardashian family. Just me hating on the Kardashians again. It always comes up every season. But yeah, it's that kind of like, it is the kind of fuller lips, the wider eyes, the kind of the brow lift, you know, the cat eye.
It was that
enhanced
fox,
fillers.
like foxy
The
eye
fox-
lift that
the
was a
fox
real
eye
thing
lift,
at one
yeah,
point.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think when we're talking about the, you know, we kind of opened the episode with this kind of, this is the tabloids that we used to see, and this is kind of how we used to get our body image. And then the flip side, the kind of modern take on that is Instagram. You know, out of all of the kind of social media platforms, you know, I think Instagram should be held accountable for this, because from that Wall Street Journal article, there was a Facebook internal document that was revealed that they are kind of Meta are aware of the impact that they have. And as per the document, they say that 32% of teen girls said that when they feel bad about their bodies, Instagram made them feel worse. And among teens who reported suicidal thoughts, 13% of British users and 6% of American users traced the issue to Instagram. So whereas maybe in the past it was those magazines and it was what we saw in the news and it was what we saw on a page, it is now what we see on our phones. You know, it's not a surprise. It's not anything that people don't know. But I just think that those numbers are quite astronomical, and especially when we're talking about people taking their own lives.
It's very stark, and I think seeing it again quantifiably, there's no running from that. Like, it is what it is, and the fact that Meta are currently very aware of it, and let's be honest, not doing a huge amount to fix it.
It reminds me of the Social Network documentary on Netflix, where, you know, they talk about all the algorithms and how these platforms, they know what they're doing and they're pushing these algorithms to get smarter and smarter and smarter. And it only works on a negative basis. So if you're feeding yourself with, you know, pictures of these Instagram face women, or, you know, things that you maybe shouldn't be looking at, or, you know, it will just give you more of that, and there's no kind of barrier, there's no age limit, there's no restrictions on that, and it kind of feeds on whatever you like, whether that's, you know, maybe you look at one Trump video and then suddenly your whole feed is Trump. You know, you might become a Trump supporter through that. There's no kind of like, yeah, as I said, there's no restrictions, there's no, you know, plug on that kind of algorithm, and that is a problem as well as these celebrities putting out this content. It is, in my opinion, up to social media platforms to restrict and monitor this.
Let's get into the real grey area here. When celebrities deny having work done, but profit off the image those procedures help them achieve. It's not about beauty anymore, it's becoming about business. And for me, this is where it starts to get really sticky, and where I start to have a real issue with this, because ultimately, you know, let's start with the Kylie Jenner example. For years, she denied getting lip filler. And then later she admitted it to Elle magazine. I wasn't ready to talk about it yet. Everyone always picks us apart. I should have been honest and upfront. And this is after she'd created a near on billion, if not $1 billion company off achieving a fuller, plumper lip through her product. And I don't know about you, Luce, but this is when it starts to grind my gears.
It's funny, isn't it, how, you know, you're selling literal lip kits that are supposed to enhance your lips, and you're selling through marketing and through Instagram and through these ads of these women with beautiful big lips, and your own lips, because that's on the packaging, actually on the packaging. And you don't disclose that until afterwards, until after everyone's invested and spent their money. It's the same with Kim Kardashian at Skims.
Yeah.
It's I've never had implants, I've never had a Brazilian butt lift, but here's my product that will lift your bum and it will make you more shapely. Yeah. Here's my shapewear that is now multi-billion pound business as well. And yeah, it's just like, well, where's the transparency here? Like, I'm sorry, but clearly Kim Kardashian has had a Brazilian butt lift. Everybody knows that. And it's not uncommon
and the rest.
News. And the rest, exactly. So yeah, it's just, it's hard to believe celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Kylie Jenner, because yeah, it's always off the back of some monetary gain.
100%. And even to pivot to the other side of it, I want to talk about kind of the bod here. There was a Gracie Abrams, she was on the cover of Cosmo in February of this year, and the cover was titled "There's Nothing I Won't Tell You." And essentially she's asked about her abs, and if you're not aware of Gracie Abrams, she has recently become known for having a pretty mega set of abs. And she's asked in this article about her ab routine, and she responded saying, "There's no end to the discourse on women's bodies. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, shut up. It's not complicated. It's not your body. I don't have a routine. I swear on my life." One commenter said it was a very pick-me thing to say with 3,000 plus likes on it. And it's interesting as well because actually earlier in the piece, she admits to being very obsessive with home workouts and it became unhealthy. And she said that she feels her sexiest when she is physically strong. So a bit of tension and contradiction between those two quotes. Why did she admit to it in one hand, but then kind of won't on the other? And I think while I agree with the overall sentiment of what she's saying, yes, we do need to stop picking women's bodies apart. It's not a sport. Let's leave the discourse at the door. She's not being truthful and totally contradicts her quote earlier in the article about, there's nothing I won't tell you or be honest about. Why is she admitting to working out in one sense but pushes back so vehemently on the other?
Yeah, I agree. I think the sentiment is correct, and I think, I don't want to say that Gracie is kind of picking out words that people want to hear, but it is a large trope online of, a lot of people channeling this idea that you shouldn't be picking apart women, and it is a constant, bombardment of comments and people just picking apart women in every way they can. So I think it's almost like she's felt like that's what she's meant to say, whereas I think there's just a little bit of a grey area where she probably hasn't realised how much of an impact those videos on TikTok were having and are having, and also the complete contradiction with her, kind of coming out and saying that she was obsessed with working out, and that is a very common thread with women. It's like you kind of start the gym and you kind of get a feel for it, and you kind of get that confirmation from people around you that you look great and you're getting skinny or you're getting fit. And although she has said that, and that's kind of like a positive thing, she's also gone on to say that not her, not me, sir.
So, I think while I agree with the overall messaging of her statement, and maybe she feels as though if she does work out a lot, she doesn't want to send that message to a young, impressionable fan base of like, hit the gym hard and there's a possibility you could look like me. But I think even though it might have been well-meaning, I just wish we'd see or hear her say, like, the bod's the job. I'm on stage every night. I need stamina. I need to be strong for that. I work out. And it also genetically blessed as well. Like, let's be honest, like so much of abs are genetic, and she's won the genetic lottery. Like, she's absolutely gorgeous. But I think it just feels, contradictory as well. And I do feel for her, and I do feel for women in the public spotlight, because you admit to it and maybe you're extreme, or you don't admit to it and you're problematic. So what do you do?
Yeah, it's almost like she's kind of done both at the same time, which I think when, you read this on the page, and although it's great that she's kind of admitting that she had this kind of obsessive, almost kind of exercise disorder in a way of kind of working out a lot and it was unhealthy, that's really great, and that really sends a great message. And if somebody, if her fan base, like they are, questioning her ab routine and all this, and she comes out and says, look, I work out a lot, it's not the healthiest, I'm working through it, like that would be so much more commendable. But I think the problem is that she's admitted that she's obsessed with home workouts and has been in the past. She hasn't really given us a timeline for that, and then suddenly she said that she doesn't do anything. And people who do have exercise disorders, they're not always the most open that they do, and it's the same with any kind of like exercise disorder, eating disorder. It's not something that people are like mostly open about and want to admit, and it takes a long time for those people to get help. So I don't know whether it's maybe on the magazines kind of side of things, of kind of taking that contradictory statement, or or kind of that those kind of statements. I just feel like there's something untruthful there, in both the imagery that we're being sent, the words that she's saying, and kind of what the publication is putting out there.
Definitely. And I think also maybe unwittingly leaning into that kind of cool girl trope of, I eat pizza, I drink beer, but I'm thin and glowing. And like, it sucks that you can't be. And that effortless like beauty myth essentially convince women that like a lot of women who are striving for this perfection and going through surgeries and extensive gym routines and all of this stuff, but pretend it just comes naturally. It's like
just natural.
I just like woke up like this, and it's just not really the case.
It's like the kind of like one of the boys. I'm just one of the boys. I have no metabolism. Like I just wake up and my hair is just perfectly Dyson air wrapped, And the TikToker Delaney Rowe. Do you know Delaney Rowe? I think most people do.
She's great.
Yeah, she kind of aces this like insufferable female lead who's kind of usually an artist or reads books that you've never heard of, and she's just this cool girl that wakes up beautiful and kind of goes about her day. And yeah, I think she's a really good influencer in terms of like she kind of cuts the bullshit and just makes you laugh at these kind of like almost like rom-com tropes of women. And that's not a hate on women at all. It's just, we do see that kind of rhetoric in the media, whether that's through societal pressure or whatever, but you do see that kind of like woke up like this, skin's just glowing, because why wouldn't it be? It's the similar thing with Paris Hilton, who famously said, I stay out of the sun, I've never done any Botox, injectables, no surgery, nothing. I mean, come on, she's got to be trolling. Like, she's to be trolling.
She's trolling. Has to be trolling. And, same with Tyra Banks. Actually, she denied any cosmetic work for years. And then in her 2018 memoir, she said, I admit it, fake hair, I did my nose. I feel like I have the responsibility to tell the truth. And Bella Hadid, this was one that really stuck with me because I remember reading this at the time when she denied having work done, thinking like, is my face just supposed to like suddenly wake up one day and like look snatched? And she told InStyle in 2018, people think I got all this surgery and you know what? We can do a scan of my face, darling. I'm scared of putting fillers in my lips. I wouldn't want to mess up my face. Fast forward to 2022, she told Vogue, I wish I had kept the nose of my ancestors. I think I would have grown into it. So just outright bullshittery at this point.
I just always feel like celebrities are open and honest about cosmetic surgery years later. It's always years later. Like I can't think off the top of my head a celebrity who's had a facelift, had work done, had their lips done, that's come out and been like, look at my new lips, look at my new face, on TikTok. They could very easily be like, to be open and honest with you, look at my new cat eye, there is room for that, and it just doesn't feel like it is there. And I think the fast forward to 2022, the Vogue quote that you just said about keeping the nose of her ancestors, it really made me think of Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing, who played Baby. So she had actually, after Dirty Dancing, she was almost like pressured into having a nose job by industry leaders, by people in the kind of acting front and the casting world, because they were like, well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you get a nose job? Like, you've got a massive nose, like kind of thing. And in an interview with the New York Times to promote her forthcoming memoir, Out of the Corner, Grey describes the impact of plastic surgery on her life. She says, overnight, I lost my identity and my career. And this is something that I've heard through the grapevine, is that Jennifer Grey didn't really get cast in roles for a long time because people didn't recognise her. She had this small button nose, her features were lost, her kind of identity was lost. And I think that's so troubling for somebody who, has obviously had the breakout of her career, with Dirty Dancing. She's so well known, everybody's in love with her and Patrick Swayze. And to then kind of lose that instantly because you felt pressured about changing a very crucial and identifying part of your face and your features is really, really damaging. And it does make me think of fast forward to today and Amy Lou Wood, and just seeing how well social media has taken to kind of preserving her iconic look and her teeth, and everybody really kind of backs her, and it's so refreshing to see somebody that doesn't have that Instagram face or that cloned look that a lot of Hollywood actors have, and the perfect kind of Hollywood smile with the perfect like flawless skin, flawless hair, and it's so nice to see somebody who's a bit more normal and still beautiful in every right, but is not pressured to change how they look, like Jennifer Grey.
Absolutely. And I think I love that she has kept her teeth, and she actually said that she struggles booking films where she has to play an American, because Americans are generally known for having like very perfect straight teeth. So I think it has got in the way of her bookability, but it's so great to see that she's rejected it, retained it. And I just think it's such a beautiful part of her that she's retained that individuality. Let's get into privacy versus accountability. Do celebrities owe us the truth about their faces, about their bodies? Should they be allowed to keep it private, even when they're potentially monetizing that?
I mean, I think when you're monetizing off your looks, you should be open and honest with that. Whether you are a celebrity who has, you know, a net worth of multi-millions of pounds or not, that is a responsibility that I feel that you have to, it's just like marketing. You have to disclose whether you are being paid by the company to promote a product. It's the exact same thing, in my opinion. If you are promoting something that gives you fuller lips, you have to say whether you currently have lip fillers at the time of promoting. I just think that's fair, and I think that's open, and I think that's honest. When celebrities, in my opinion, don't have to disclose that is when they are not selling a product or they are not selling an ideal. Yeah. I think if you are a model, if you are someone that's selling fashion, I think that's in the other category. But if you are, for example, gonna say it, take a shot, Taylor Swift. I just think she's such a good example of this, because she's a musician. She gets on stage. She sells music. She writes music. There is nothing there where she is selling a product for beauty. She sells her merchandise. She sells her CDs, but she is not selling a lip kit. She is not selling body shapewear. She's not selling Taylor Swift, make your nose look smaller with this product, you know? But we all know it's very... we are very aware that Taylor Swift has had work done. She's definitely enhanced that over the past few years, and it's been quite a big thing on TikTok where people are kind of, you know, comparing her. And, you know, even before this, before she's maybe had a little bit more work, there was like those AI Taylor Swift videos and photos where she just looked even more enhanced, and it's almost like she's kind of matching that now in her real life. But I still don't think that, you know, it's on her to come out and be like, yeah, I had all this work done, blah, 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 because she isn't selling that product.
I agree. I think that's for me where the line is also drawn, is when you are monetizing off the back of your appearance. And I think everyone obviously has the right to privacy. If these celebrities, they need to stay as bankable and as commercially viable as possible. And a lot of the time that means that comes with extreme procedures, extreme surgeries. We've actually recently just seen Anne Hathaway debut a very snatched look at a certain fashion show. And there was a lot of scrutiny with that. And for me, that is her staying essentially as commercially viable as long as possible, because ultimately, patriarchal society, what does the patriarchy hold above all else? Youth, especially in women. And again, it goes back to that pillow face episode. I do feel like you can't win. You get this work done, of which not a problem, by the way. None of this is an issue, especially if you're someone in the public eye. Challenge anyone in the public eye to refrain from having anything done. I just don't think it's going to happen. I wouldn't do it. I don't think you would do it. I think we would probably go and get something tweaked here and there. That being said, we're not selling something, and that is where it does get morally grey.
Yeah, and we're not all, you know, jumping on Anne Hathaway's back like, you need to admit that you've had this done, you know, like you need to admit that you've had a brow lift and cheek filler and Who's your surgeon? Everyone just wants to know because it's such good work. And it's kind of similar with Taylor Swift as well. It's not that people want to know because we're unsure of whether she's had surgery or not. I think it's quite clear that she has. I think maybe there is those, you know, those crazy people on TikTok, you know, who are like serious, like strange fans, in my opinion, who are like, she's never had anything done. It's like, come on, be real. Be real.
There's definitely a certain sector of especially young fan as well that I'm seeing. And is this a product of the lack of transparency around open and honesty that I think genuinely think celebrities age backwards and they don't do anything? It's like, that's not how aging works. These guys are having work done and it's nothing to be ashamed of. They're having work done. Like, your fave celeb has probably had a facelift. I don't know why they deny it so much.
Yeah, I mean, if I was rich and famous and I was constantly being scrutinized in the media for how I look, I would be getting surgery too. But yeah, it is, you know, as long as I'm not selling a butt lift, a butt lift cream, or like, you know, like some shapewear that enhances my hips or whatever. I think it's really troubling for people online to see these celebrities who are selling these products. And it's the same with skin as well. And I mentioned it in the skin episode. If you're selling a product and you've had extensive like kind of skin medication and you are then promoting a cream that will save your skin in 4 days, but you're not disclosing that you've previously been on Accutane, like that's also in the same boat, whether you are a very, you know, top celebrity A-lister or whether you're just kind of an influencer. That to me is really important.
Agree. So, I mean, final close for you. There's actually a really lovely bit of wisdom from Dolly Parton, who has always been very open about what she has done, what she hasn't done. And if something is bagging, sagging, or dragging, I tuck it, suck it, or pluck it. I may look fake, but I'm real where it counts, which I just think is absolutely iconic. Classic Dolly. We love to hear it. But Luce, to close off, what is your kind of final thought on this? Obviously, it seems to be the line in the sand is when someone is monetizing off the back of it.
You can't sell a dream and lie about how you got there. So if we're talking about celebrities who are selling as products whilst having cosmetic surgery and not disclosing that they are, you know, they're selling their body in terms of like they're a model or, you know, they're promoting fashion, you know, and if you're turning around and saying, this is all natural, baby, and you're lying, that's really bad in my opinion, and you should be held accountable for that. And it's really harmful, especially to today's generation who are so heavily influenced by being online all day, every day. And, you know, you don't know the actual impact, you know, like we spoke about in Pillowface, you don't know the impact of what that has on young people. And, you know, going back to that, you know, that quote about how many teens are considering suicide because of Instagram, I think that's maybe the key point that we should take away from this episode is it's not just surface level. This is something that people are really struggling with day in, day out.
Totally agree. And I love the bit about, you know, selling a dream and kind of lying about how you got there. I think it is that deep. That being said, I do have empathy from the celebrity point of view as well, because in the Nylon article, they spoke about this almost like filter of insecurity of like the celebrity feels insecure admitting to having that work done, but that insecurity is being passed down to Joe Public because they're reading that and thinking, well, they just look like that and they haven't had any work done, so why don't I look like that? And such the insecurity snowball carries on. And obviously there is this unattainable standard of perfection that no one is immune to, let alone celebrities in the public eye. But I think sadly, in trying to obtain that standard of perfection, what they're filtering out the other end is sadly giving a lot of young women an awful lot of insecurity. And then obviously, you know, you chuck in social media and that's just like putting gasoline on the fire. And before you know it, you've got just a raging fire of the patriarchy. And it all gets a bit gross. But that being said, I do think when you're a celebrity and you have an audience, and especially if you're monetizing that audience, I do think there is a responsibility on you to be honest about the work you're having done.
And isn't that great that, you know, Amy Lou Wood is out there kind of at the forefront of that movement of, yeah, I'm keeping my defining characteristics and there's nothing you can do about it. And yes, these industry leaders are telling me that I should get my teeth done, and SNL are making disgusting skits about me, and I'm going to call them out
Gross.
on that, which, by the way, if you haven't seen the White POTUS from SNL, the SNL skit, it was absolutely disgusting. It commented on how she didn't use fluoride when, you know, it's not that her teeth are unclean. It's just that she's got, you know, larger than average teeth. You know, it's completely past the point. It was just disgusting.
Yeah,
it wasn't
gross.
funny. And it was kind of brought me back to those, the kind of really horrendous tabloids that we saw at the top of the episode of kind of picking women's facial features and body parts apart and just saying horrible things about them. And it was really nice to see that on social media, everyone was like, absolutely not, you cannot do that anymore, and SNL had to kind of provide an apology instantly, and I feel like that was a real lesson learned there. And Amy Lou Wood, she's a real one.
She's a real one. She absolutely is. So I think be more Amy. It's the end of that.
Be more Amy.
And now it's time for...
And what a part of bollocks!
This is a part of the show where we just rant about something that fucks us off. Lucy, you are kicking us off. Season 3, baby. Make it a good one. What have you got for me?
No shoes with the fucking toe compartments. I fucking hate them. I see people walking down the street with those no-shoe shoes. If you don't know what no-shoe shoes are, they're supposed to be like those little sock shoes that people put on, that they're supposed to be more grounded to the earth, so they feel like they're just walking on the pavement, and they don't have to get the dirt on their feet. Oh my God, they make me sick. I don't want to see the toe compartments. I don't want to see the little toes in your shoes. They're horrible. And people do them, you know, at climbing hangers and stuff. They use those. And I'm just like, oh, you're like gripping the rocks as you climb with your toes, and I can see your toes and they're in the shoe, and I hate them.
Got a foot ick. So is it the one where you can see like every toe?
But they're like second skins. That's basically like wearing socks with toes. You know those, when we were younger, they would sell those socks with the
I know
toes,
exactly what you're talking about.
But they're shoes, and people wear them outdoors in the street, just normally with normal clothes. They walk around with them. Don't like it? Stop it. Put normal shoes on. I will buy you some shoes.
I will buy you some shoes to make sure you take those off your feet.
Take those shoes off. No, take those socks off your feet. They are not shoes. Thanks so much for listening to Shallow. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could leave us a review. It makes a really huge difference in helping others discover the podcast. We always want to hear from you, so feel free to slide into our DMs, send us a bell, or follow us on Instagram at ShallowPod. Shallow is a boxed off production, written and hosted by Lucy Bell and Phoebe Whittle. We'll see you next time.